Hey everyone, welcome back to Couples Therapy with Beth Wylie. Today I wanted to talk about, or share with you, I guess I should say, an acronym that I use very often in my sessions with couples. And it is, when you're communicating, communicate with love. L.O.V.E. Communicate with love stands for listen, observe, validate, and empathy. Those are the 4 things we should be bringing with us when we're communicating with our partner. So the first, like I said, is to listen, right? 2 ears, 1 mouth. We need to listen to what our partner is saying. We need to know what they're saying. We need to be observing, right? So I'm going to bring in the O right away. Observing their facial expressions, their body, their demeanor. We need to know all of the things that are going on with them. So really listening instead of talking, right? Listen, observe what's going on with them. Are they crying? Are they angry? Can you help them when they are expressing something, yet they're not talking about what it is that they're feeling? But you can tell, because you're observing. You can tell that there's something up. So can you, in that moment, say, can you help me by letting me know what you're feeling? So that way they drop down, right? A lot of times when we are in the middle of a conversation and maybe the other person is yelling or has this tone, they seem angry, you might not want to say, you're angry. You're mad. When we are in that state, usually what's happening is that we are reacting. So anger, frustration even, can be what we refer to as masking emotions. They're reactionary emotions. They're what is happening when we're reacting. So if you can ask your partner to drop down to what it is they're feeling, lower than I'm angry or I'm frustrated, then you can move into the next letter, which is validate. So validation, we're gonna have a whole episode, maybe more, on validation. Validation is easier to do when someone says how they're feeling. So if I say my feelings were hurt by the way that you said that, it's easier to validate that statement than you hurt my feelings. Because then we're just pointing the finger. You did this thing. And the partner's response is very often going to be, well, that's not what I meant to do. So I'm sorry that you felt that way. Which is not a validating statement. Just FYI. Validating does not equate agreement. And this is where we get hung up. And this is why we're going to do a whole video on validation. But if when we're communicating, we're listening, we're observing, and we're being able to help pull out a feeling from our partner, then we can work really hard to validate. I can totally understand why you feel that way. That makes a lot of sense to me. I would feel that way too if those roles were reversed or if that happened to me. Right? I don't want to hurt you. That is not my goal here. And I am sorry that that's what happened. Right? Then you're even moving into the empathy. I can see that you're in a lot of pain over this. Is there something I can do right now to make that better? You will be blown away. And we'll break that down more over the weeks to come. But if you can remember, when you're in the midst of communicating and it's feeling hard, how do I communicate with love? I need to listen versus just talk. I need to listen, which means I ask questions. Be curious. Always be curious. ABCs. Always be curious. I need to look at my partner. What are they giving me? Are they shutting down? Then maybe we take a break, right? Really pay attention. If I can get them to express a feeling either by asking or they're just giving it to me, can I validate that? If if all else fails, always ask more questions. Learn about how this feeling came. What's the deeper meaning behind it? And then provide empathy. That's hard. That sounds like it was really hard. That sounds painful. We don't have to fix it. You don't even really have to apologize. You're listening, you're observing, you're validating, and you're providing empathy. If you can communicate with love, you can get through almost anything, right? This is when we talk about having effective ways of managing conflict. Having a relationship feel connected and feeling like I'm really happy in this is not like the absence of conflict. Those two things are not have to be equal. It's how we have the conflict. I don't know if anyone saw a few weeks ago, I love the show Blackish, and they did an episode, I wonder if I could find it, but they did a scene and talked about, pain points, and we all have them that we can fire at our partner. We know them better than anybody. And they showed kind of what would happen if they did like a sliding door moment. So what would happen if they went ahead and hit each other's pain points throughout the episode? And at the end, it was like where they were running at each other with knives, right? They were in it to win it. And then it backed everything up, and it showed them like communicate with love. They listened to each other. They validated each other's like points of view, histories, differences in how they were raised. And they each had empathy for each other on how that must be hard for them. And what ended up happening? Closeness at the end. It looked as though they were about to go get it on. So because they had this two different positions and they communicated with love, they grew a connection. So I really want you to work on that. I'm going to write this down in the comments. But think about that. It's something that's easy. When you're in the middle of wanting to talk to your partner, how do I do this in a way that I am going to see the result that I'm hoping for? If I communicate with love, I'm more likely going to get the result that I was hoping for. All right. Thanks for coming by today. Let me know how it worked for you. If you felt like it was really hard, if you had a hard time remembering it, like I said, I'll write it out again in the comments for you. And I'm a big believer in writing stuff down and putting it up on my wall. So if you feel like that's something that would be helpful, I highly recommend it. All right, guys, have a really awesome Tuesday. Bye.